fast forward 1 year later, I had this mentor in the advertising industry. He was probably one of my earliest mentors. He was a very established brand and content strategist that worked at really prestigious media agencies. And I used to, catch up with him every few months or so for coffee. I would often go and see him speak in really big venues around Melbourne. And, he would often give me advice on how to develop my career in advertising and how to be a strategist, how to build my personal brand on LinkedIn, which I never did. But he was great. And, when I was kind of at this really pivotal point in my career where I was sort of leaving advertising and I was trying to build my own thing and build my own coaching business, but not really sure. And I was doubting myself. And I sort of went to him for advice and I said, I don't know if I should try and do this or that. What advice can you give me? And he said, I can really see you being a digital nomad. And that was the second time that came up. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And it's that isn't really career advice. That's more lifestyle advice. But at the time, I still didn't really grasp that. But it was the second time that it sort of came into my, field of vision and awareness that someone was directly saying this suits you, I feel like this would be a great thing for you. I kind of left it again. And it was really only when I met one of my ex-lovers, went to his retreat, then met my ex-partner. If you want the background story, go and listen to episode 1 and 2, our origin story on the podcast for the full scoop. And, stay tuned up into my emails so that you can find out when my memoir is released. And it was when I met my ex-partner and I said, where do you live? And he goes, well, I kind of live everywhere, but I'm sort of based between Malaysia, Bali, and then I just fly wherever I want. I'll go to France to get tattoos. I'll go to raves. I'll fly into Burning Man. And I was like, wow, what do you mean? And so he was like, well, yeah, I'm kind of a digital nomad. And that was the third time that I heard that. And I was like, okay, this is a thing. Typically when I see something 3 times, my brain consciously will be like, that's a sign, 1 time is okay, 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times is my unconscious mind is speaking to my conscious mind and I'm consciously interpreting the signs and symbols of my environment and I'm going, yes. Often, I'll talk to people and they'll say how do I know? Da, 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 da. I don't know if I should make this decision. And it's well, you can just ask for a sign. You can ask the universe for a sign. Ultimately, when you're seeing that sign, it's really just you planting that for you to consciously be more aware of, right? It's really you integrating your own unconscious and conscious mind and your awareness. So I was like, all right, this is clearly something that I want to do. This is clearly something that exists as a pathway. And I'm receiving a lot of confirmation albeit over a very long span of time. But from 2017 to 2019, I had 3 signs. And so when I got the third sign, I really committed and said, yes, I'm going to be able to do this. I am going to commit to this. How do I do it? What does that look like? And then I started looking there was a website called nomadlist.org. And that website tells you the most popular destinations or hotspots where people are living this lifestyle. And they're sort of, banding together in these little expat communities, these little bubbles where they build infrastructure to support that kind of thing. So they'll build co-working spaces, there's just lots of events happening where people are getting together and building community where you feel like you're a part of something. You can blend in, you can meet friends, you can even date, all these types of things that would make this type of thing feel intimidating. Just it lessens that and it helps that integration process for you to actually just go and move somewhere, anywhere, and be like, cool, now I live in Thailand, or hey, now I live in Hungary. So I spent a lot of time on the nomadlist.org website. And at this point, I did have a business. I was already coaching, but I just wasn't making consistent money and I wasn't making a lot of money. I certainly didn't have enough to create any kind of financial stability where I felt like I could move easily. So I was like, all right, well, technically I don't have a boss. Technically, I don't have something that constrains me to a particular place, but I also don't have the resources to, support the freedom and the ease of movement. So it was kind of 1 point either side of the argument or the equation. But when I realized that I needed to get out of Australia to change my environment to support what I wanted to accomplish, I was very determined in making that move to Bali, which I did with $700 and a $10,000 limit credit card.